Welcome, everybody, to this week's special edition. It ain't special. It's just a regular edition, Reagan.
Well, you don't know that the show hadn't happened yet.
That's right. You can't predict the future. Although you do predictive modeling that was highly accurate, I give you kudos.
What can I say?
Let's get back to the normal flow. Let me introduce my esteemed co-host, the magnificent, the inestimable, Reagan William Reed. How are you, sir?
I am doing pretty good. And, of course, this is my esteemed co-host, Robert Coates.
Hello.
Who just got back from a bracing round of golf.
Yes.
And, at the April Sound Country Club.
Look how good I look. No, I don't. Look at this. This finery here is excellent.
You look like a truck driver who hasn't had a meal in like a month.
Oh, man, that was mean, Reagan. You look like a lumberjack who doesn't know where he is at a wedding.
I was going for more of like the Amway convention look, right? Yeah.
Amway's #1 salesman in America, maybe the world, Reagan William Reed. Okay, let's get into the show. I'm going to talk about something serious, Reagan, that we haven't done a show in a few weeks, but a couple weeks ago, Dr. Wally Wilkerson passed away, and this is going to be a little difficult, I think, for both of us to discuss, but I went to the funeral. It was a very good funeral, I will say that, and the celebration of life was very good. As far as the family got a lot of things to say about how, not just how Wally was, but how his wife was, and it was a lot of closure for them. I'm glad I went. Before all the controversies, Reagan, I don't think we've really discussed it very much. Before all the controversies, Wally and me kind of reached out to each other through our writing, and we would sit down and have long talks about all sorts of things. And he was always a fun guy to talk to. Correcto?
Oh, I agree completely, yeah.
He was a learned man. And
there's a wealth of knowledge.
Right. And it was always fun for me because kind of like this show, Rock the Boat, we would off-road a lot. Me and Wally would go down weird paths. And he knew so much obscure stuff that it was fascinating to listen to him. And I enjoyed listening to him. So there's going to be no controversy this week talking about him. I just want to say that I was glad I was there. There were a lot of people there, a lot of people paying their respects. And Kevin Brady gave the basic, so during the celebration of life, he gave the basic eulogy, and it was excellent. He gave an excellent speech. Reagan, this might be the hardest thing I've ever asked of you. Reagan, how are you feeling with all the stuff and the history between yourself and Dr. Wilkerson? How are you doing, Reagan?
Well, I didn't know that you were going to bring up this topic
That's why it's Rock the Boat.
On the show. Look, obviously, we had a complicated relationship, and I still don't know that I want to really talk all about that because I have a lot of thoughts.
Then don't. But talk
and
about
and at the end of the day, like
talk about your respect for him.
That's not important. I mean, what's
Right.
important now is remembering Dr. Wally's life and everything that he did. And obviously, yeah, we didn't always get along the best, but I always respected him. And like you said, I mean, he was always interesting to talk to, despite our differences. I wish we could have talked more, honestly. But you know what? Kind of in thinking through this, and I have my regrets about some of the things that went down. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, I mean, he is really a historic figure. I think one of the most important players in Republican politics in Texas.
Maybe 50 years.
Ever, probably.
Maybe.
One of the top ones. And I think that, he'll go down in history of this state. And so rather than focus on things that I wish had gone differently or been better, really, I just it hit me. It's like, you know what? I should be thankful that I got to meet such a legend, right? And I can remember that the rest of my life, and I'm sure that I will, that I actually knew the great Dr. Wally Wilkerson, and I got to meet him before he passed, and I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
The last time I saw him was at Boucher won't like this, but I saw him at the Republican Club, right? I walked in and it was like all the eyes were like, boom, Bob Coates is here. What? That's
Rhino.
Yeah, the rhino eyes. No. But yeah, now people are like, well, he went to the Republican Club. He's a rhino now. He's on their side. No, really the best part of that night was Wally saw me, right? Bob Coates. And he walked toward me with his hands out. He was very happy to see me, and I thought it was cool that he would. It was kind of like going back to the way we were when I first met him. So for me personally, I felt really good seeing him. I was a little bit of a fish out of water, kind of like how you went. Didn't you go to the Republican?
Oh, come on. That was not the case. You're just saying that so like all the Tea Party people don't get mad at you for going.
That's right. No, but I don't like restrictions on my ability to float around with any Republican who I want to speak to, because ultimately we have to be together. Ultimately, I don't use the word unity, but when the fight's over, we got to coalesce, right? So, Reagan, what was the interaction last time you saw him?
To the best of my memory, Bob, I believe the last time I saw him was my last county executive committee meeting as vice chairman. And that was actually the emergency meeting that we called to censure Greg Abbott for some of the pandemic restrictions.
Yeah, we censured
him. And I have some thoughts in hindsight about that, but that I believe that was the last time I saw him. And look, since getting off the CEC, I still think a lot of the changes we made needed to happen, although some of them I think went too far, and I think looking back on it, some of the ways that things were handled could have been handled better. And so I do have some regrets about that. And I always, really of late, maybe in the last year or so, wanted to, if I saw Dr. Wally again, have a conversation with him and try to make amends. Kind of like you were saying, you saw him at the Republican Club, and it was like old times, right?
Yes.
And I kind of wanted to do the same. And so I always just assumed, well, I would see him at some event or whatever. And so, but then he passed, and so I, won't get the chance to do that this side of eternity. And so, really, that's a lesson to everybody out there. If you want to say something to somebody or try to reconcile a relationship, don't wait. Don't put it off. You go out there right now and reach out to that person, and you won't regret doing so. So that would be my encouragement to everyone.
I'm going to stop you for a second, brother. The fact that you even put that post out, it shows to your character, my friend, because most people wouldn't have the courage to do it. And you tangled, but you also forgave. And in the end, I always say this, and people think I'm not telling the truth, but I am telling the truth. The reason why I don't go down the invective ad hominem road, right, with opposition to people I'm running as a candidate or strategist is this. I don't think you really ever did. We all, as Christians, if you're a Christian, we're going to be friends forever. You'll see Wally again. And Wally, knowing that thing that you did, this thing you said, he's going to embrace you. And you will have that peace, to know that under, the auspices of God, everybody can work out their differences. I truly believe that.
You know what I found kind of, and this thought hit me just a few days ago, Bob?
What's that?
Which I think is a little bit ironic. Obviously, Dr. Wally's now united with his wife, Nettie Jane, and man, that they were together for like forever. So I'm sure it's great that they're united. But this hit me also, okay? Because it was only about a month or so before Dr. Wally passed away. Jim Jenkins, the infamous, famous, whatever, Jim Jenkins, who ran against Wally a couple times, and he was the head of the RLC, and he was Wally's nemesis of many years back before either one of us was involved in politics here. But Jim Jenkins and Wally Wilkerson passed away within like a month of each other. And so the conversations that they're having right now, I just thought that was ironic. Yeah.
And Billy, if he wants to jump in here. Do you ever think or wonder that if you have a beef with somebody, that there's some role for some angel to be like the referee in heaven. You know what I mean? Like somebody's going, hey guys, you can't take it up here. I think heaven is such a beautiful place, though, Reagan, that all that kind of enmity, right, and all that washes away. I don't think we're even there. But I mean, I do think what you thought, it's like when they passed away with them, they're going at it.
I kind of laughed when I had that thought. Like,
yeah. Huh. But that's a deep thought, though. But I think, just like, wow. Wouldn't that be weird if they allowing argument and debate in heaven, man? That'd be wild. But anyway.
Yeah, I bet it's, conducted by Robert's Rules of Order, right?
Yeah, so
they use Robert's Rules in Order.
So
in heaven,
you RVT folks better get your learn on. Okay, with that, let's end that on that fun thing. That's for Boucher. There you go. I said it. There you go, Boucher. Calm yourself. But let's move on to the local races. Look what I'm repping right now. Oh, Howard Wood. Got a Howard Wood hat. There's only like 3 or 4 of these, I think. Yep, I got one. Howard, when he was doing the thing with Toby, like when Toby passed and he had to represent Toby, he was like a different person. He was nervous, right? Quiet, super humble. He stayed humble, okay?
Yeah, he's still that way.
Still a very humble person. But I saw Howard get aggressive during the campaign, but in a good way. And I wish I had more video of him, like just kind of confronting questions, because he did, like at the April Sound Forum, I thought that Howard actually, in the end, did the best. And I did not expect that. No, I did not.
Oh, it's really an incredible feat to beat an incumbent like that. And of course,
the mayor pro tem.
And of course, yeah, the mayor. In all respect to Raymond McDonald, want to thank him for his service. I don't have anything against him. No. But that really is a pretty big accomplishment for Howard to come in and beat the mayor pro tem by a pretty wide margin, too.
I think it was like 58-41.
And, yeah, so I think that speaks to his quality as a candidate. I think he's going to make a great councilman.
Yeah, they're already talking other things about him. But there was a picture of him and Morgan Luttrell. Did you see this photo?
No, I didn't.
I'm going to send it to you. And, man, there was some weird kind of aura quality of leadership that was strange. The juxtaposition of the two. And I think a lot of photos, like Native Americans say that if you take a photo, it captures your spirit. There was something positively captured there. It showed kind of both of their strengths. I'm going to send it to you and you're going to go, whoa, you were right. Very excellent picture.
Because Morgan Luttrell endorsed Raymond McDonald, if I remember correctly.
Yes, that is correct. So they took a picture together and it was actually pretty cool. So I was impressed. Moving on though. So in other races, our mutual friend, and we will say that we are friends with Susan Johnson. I am. You are.
Yeah, absolutely.
She lost only by 54 votes to Coach Marsha Porter, which got a sting. There wasn't many votes. I think around 4,000, 4,200, somewhere in there. But that's a low turnout, Reagan. Is there any way that we can get people more interested in these races locally? Beef up the turnout, because it's pathetic.
Well, if people quit watching cable news.
Come on. I mean, serious. Is there any way that I read a lot outside of this. Outside of politics, I read even more about like ways to increase voter turnout, to get people more engaged for candidacies.
Yeah. What's just a general problem? Just the deterioration of our institutions in this country. And people are a lot less connected, be it with their church or with civic organizations, and that's, I think, contributing to a lot of problems in our society and a lot of loneliness on the part of people. So we need to get back to that sense of local community and people connecting and plugging in with these local institutions. That's important.
Right. But I having predicting a 4% turnout in the runoff with between the final candidates, which are Harry Hardman and John Hernandez. And
for the city council position 3,
correct.
Duke Coon's seat. He's term limited.
Right. And the other one is the municipal judge race between William Wagner and Melanie Turner. I think from the signs I'm seeing on the ground right now, with a lower turnout, it favors Old Conroe. Who are the Old Conroe candidates? I'm not sure in the judge race. Okay.
Wagner's the Old Conroe candidate in the judge race.
Maybe, but
Matt Bob, the Wagners have been here. His dad was a banker in Conroe
maybe, yeah.
forever.
That's a weird kind of juxtaposition.
I've known the Wagner family a long time. His dad used to be on the same hunting lease as my dad.
What?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, great family. They've been here forever, been involved in Conroe politics forever. So that's Old Conroe, yeah.
Right.
Yeah. But I'm supporting Melanie, by the way.
Yes. But the Harry Hardman race, there was a weird thing that occurred this week, and I've never seen this except at the national level, and I'm going to tell you about it. So it looked like Harry Hardman put out a commercial only in the Hispanic areas and the minority areas of the city, because the rest of the town didn't get this, like a targeted spot.
Dugan.
Right? Dugan. Thank you. Dugan. For those who don't know, describe what Dugan is. Come on, Reagan, be brave.
Well, my great grandfather actually lived in Dugan, I believe, when it was mostly white. It tells you how long my family's been here folks. In Conroe. Yeah. Let's just say there are 109 voting precincts in this county now, something like that.
Yeah, 109 exactly.
And only one out of 109 precincts in all Montgomery County votes Democrat still.
That's Mark Franks, right?
And that's Dugan.
Mm-hmm. Well, it looked like Harry Hardman's campaign put out an ad that slammed Hernandez on a past drunk driving conviction.
Oh, really? I did not see this.
Yeah. And I want to tell you something. Harry immediately put out something that said, I didn't put this out. Because they even had they took the paid by the Harry Hardman campaign and Webb Melder treasurer on there. And I'm like, I've only seen this happen. And I believe Harry because he immediately filed a complaint about this commercial. And they're trying to figure out who did this outside group thing. You know what I mean? It wasn't the Hardman campaign. So immediately, Hernandez uses it, jumps down Hardman's throat. I mean, maybe for reason, right? But I want everybody to think about this. If you're up 45% to like 18, 19%, how hard is this going to be to get to 50?
Yeah, I mean, if you're up by that many points going into the runoff, you don't even mention your opponent.
That's
rule.
That's
punching down. You don't punch
down. You don't even give them air to breathe or oxygen. You don't even bring them up.
Yeah, you just focus on getting your people back to the polls.
That's it. That's the whole focus. Turnout. Well, it hasn't really worked because I would have expected a surge for Hernandez. I don't think this is a race that's going to be close.
Really? Have you been at the polls at all for early voting?
It's slow, man. I've never seen it this slow. This first week is pathetic, man. But pathetic turnout usually favors the perceived either close to victory or incumbent. And yeah, I think it definitely favors Hardman as far as this goes.
Yeah, if I'm going to predict now, and I'll be out with the Texas Citizen Journal prediction model, but I think Harry's going to win the runoff for the city council.
Harder
position.
to judge the municipal judge race. Harder.
Yeah, I'm still not sure who's going to win that.
Turnout.
It's going to be close. Who do you think's going to win that one, Bob?
Melanie, barely.
Really? Why do you say that?
Well, because people are coming up, and I've been at the polls, and they're just basically saying, people in my neighborhood, for example, in April Sound, people who aren't naturally allied with me, right, in a choice. POA people, more like Republican women's group people, they're like, I'm going to vote for Melanie Turner. And I think part of that is, did you hear this story that was in the Conroe Courier? You probably didn't.
No.
He's falling asleep when I said Conroe Courier. It's like, oh, that's his, put you to sleep. But they had a story that
Texas Citizen Journal
is the best. Yeah. That's the guy's deal. But basically, Judge Davis, who is the current municipal court judge of the city of Conroe, right, put on some robes on Mr. Young Wagner and wrote, let's see how good these fit, And basically it was like a tacit endorsement. Well, Melanie filed a complaint. And I think rightfully so, because time and time again in so many of these races, especially involving municipal courts or JPs, you get a family member, right? This is how they do it. You get a family member or a friend, and they go right to the line in the spirit of the law, and they say, the whatever family endorses this person, or let's take a picture doing this. Mm-hmm. And it violates the spirit of the law and the ethical bounds of what you're supposed to be doing as a judge, which is impartiality, right? It looks like favoritism, right?
Yeah.
So they take it very seriously. And when Raymond McDonald had an inadvertent picture on his push card that had Vince Santini in it, right? Vince immediately went, no way, take those cards back. That can get me in trouble, right? And I think the same could go for this.
Yeah, I think it was a bad look, Bob. I saw that picture, but and he shouldn't have done that.
Right.
But I don't think, from a legal standpoint,
I don't think
he violated the law. So
No.
I don't think the complaint's going to go anywhere, honestly.
Most of the time, these complaints don't. You know that. No. But does it look like it's a little favoritism? It's not a good look.
Yeah, but I don't think that the people of Conroe really care about that. At the end of the day, I think they just care about the issues and who's going to be the better municipal judge.
Well,
I really don't think voters pay attention to a lot of this drama that we political junkies get caught up in.
right. I think the two issues that are probably the most salient are this is a part-time court, and you got 100,000 more people right in the city, and they have a backlog, and they're not getting any real money. They're getting about 15, 20 cents of the fines paid.
Yeah.
On the dollar.
Conroe's a big enough city. They should have a full-time municipal judge. No question there.
That's definitely. And the second thing is, do you see anybody picking up trash by the side of the road or doing anything like that in Conroe? No, because we don't have traditional community service. A lot of times, since COVID, really, it's kind of taken off. If somebody is indigent, right? The judge just kind of goes, "Oh, mercy on you," and lets them go. That teaches people nothing, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, Melanie Turner's is big issue she's talking about is bringing back traditional community service to basically pick up trash, make amends with the city, and kind of learn a lesson about being.
I like that. I like that a lot. People are going to get something, they need to work for it. And so, yeah, put these people to work.
Put them to work and don't just let them go, because they can be doing something and that maybe actually restores their spirit a little bit when they have to do something.
Exactly. Especially for young people. I think young people get in trouble. That's a good precedent to make them work and try to instill a sense of responsibility.
Yeah, and so I think those issues are resonating. That's why I give the edge probably to Melanie.
Okay,
at this
that's
point.
Interesting. Yeah. We'll see what the Citizen Journal prediction model comes out with.
Okay, that's where we were heading, and I think that's where we're going to be. We're not quite ending, but...
Yeah, I don't see a clock anywhere.
No,
so
no
I guess
clock.
we can just keep going on
we
forever.
We miss each other, me and my bro Reagan.
Yeah, this would be like a Joe Rogan, 3 hour.
Yeah, we could do it, though. You
podcast.
know we could.
Oh, easy.
Let's talk about, without giving the specifics away, of how good your predictive modeling was at the state level.
Oh, I don't want to brag.
Come on, brag. Come on, let it fly. Let it fly. It was really good. Really good.
Yeah, so far, I think the Texas Citizen Journal prediction model, and I release forecasts before every election, and we've got over 90% win rate at this point.
That's great.
And again, I always throw the caveat out here, it's not an endorsement from me. And I put it out the night before the election or the morning of the election,
right,
so that it doesn't influence the morale kind of one way or another.
You don't want depressed turnout.
Yeah, but it's fun, and I think it's useful, and people read it, and people enjoy it. So
let's go into specific races, though.
Okay.
I know you were loath on a personal level to predict Paxton winning over Bush.
Oh, gosh. No.
But it happened, and you were honest. How did you sort of arrive that everything was pointing towards Paxton?
Well, that was an easy one, to be honest, Bob. I mean, pretty much all the polling leading up to that showed Paxton with a pretty substantial margin. There was one poll that came out a week before, like during early voting, and a friend of mine actually who was helping out George P. Bush texted that to me, and I'm like,
Maybe.
I hope that's true, but I really think that's an outlier. And
it was.
And it was.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, just based on that, Paxton did have the.
Did the pump jack girl win?
Paxton. Well, let's say a few more words about Paxton.
Okay.
Paxton had the Trump endorsement, which I think helped him.
Yeah. I think Trump's presence in Texas helped all the people who were running the
now
not
to get to the other end of that, Trump did in Texas at least tended to endorse incumbents or people who were heavily favored to win their races,
and also
already.
heavily likely to win.
Yeah, exactly. So when he says like I won, every race in Texas, well, yeah, if you endorse only incumbents,
all the office holders,
and incumbents 90% of the time, 95% of the time win. Well, yeah, you're gonna have a good win rate. It's the open races, But anyways,
keep going.
Paxton was the incumbent, had all the advantages of incumbency.
Yeah.
And I do think that kind of in this more populist age of the Republican Party, they've kind of soured against the Bush family to some extent or another. I don't know that's entirely fair to George P. because I do think
he was the outlier in his family.
On general, he was more, and of course they had the really cringe koozie that had the thing on there that from Trump saying this is the only Bush that likes me, and that was pretty cringe.
And then he like body slammed him.
Yeah, but I do think to be fair, George P. is generally one of the more conservative members.
He's going to run for something else, Reagan, and he'll win. I bet you.
But that was always going to be a hard lift. I think and here was the other key thing in that race too.
What's that?
Is that generally challengers who are successful in the runoff. The candidates who don't make the runoff tend to coalesce behind challengers that do make it. And in this case, neither of the two candidates who didn't make the runoff, okay, so Ava Guzman and Louis Gohmert, neither one of them endorsed George P. Bush in the runoff. And so to me, that was a key indicator that he's just not getting the momentum he needs to take out Paxton. And I voted for George P. You cue all the hate you want.
No.
Paxton's a crook, and I wouldn't be surprised if he's in jail before this term is up. So,
what, really?
Yeah.
Is that part of your predictive modeling?
That's not part of my predictive model. That's just a Reagan read off the cuff. But yeah, we'll see who gets the last laugh on that.
All right, let's move on from Paxton. Let me talk about Pump Jack Girl.
Okay, if you want to talk, I know you've been dying to talk about the.
She didn't make it, folks. Man, I really love that picture, though. No, I'm just kidding, folks. I did.
Yeah, though, the weird thing that came out about that race too. So of course, I first heard about her because she did that topless dance on an oil pump jack, and apparently that was enough to get her in the runoff.
That's right, Midland, Texas, overwhelming.
And this just got even more bizarre, but it came out during the runoff. Apparently, this transgender billionaire West Texas rancher. Did you hear about this, Bob?
Yes.
Who Sarah Stogner actually lived with this transgender billionaire rancher or whatever.
That's confusing, folks.
Yeah. And apparently this person gave her bankrolled her campaign in the runoff.
Wow.
And, but in the end, Wayne Christian, the incumbent, was able to
Good
to
job,
pull it
Wayne.
off.
I'm glad he won.
It actually, so this was a weird thing, Bob.
What's that?
Sarah Stogner actually got a higher percentage of the vote than George P. Bush did.
What?
Yes. Paxton won by a higher margin than Wayne Christian did.
Wow.
And that's always been and I've supported Wayne every race he ran in. I supported him when he first ran for the Railroad Commission.
That was a while ago.
In 2014, I supported him when he ran in 16 and won. But for whatever reason, he's done a great job. I like Wayne a lot, but
he always gets challenged.
But I'll say he's not a great campaigner, and so he was in a runoff last time and won in a runoff, and so he went. As an incumbent, he shouldn't have had a runoff.
No,
to be honest.
I mean, he does a good job. He's not he does a good job in office and the actual nuts and bolts of that job. He does the job correctly.
Yeah.
So he probably shouldn't have a challenger, if you ask me.
Well, I mean, everyone's had a challenger this time, it seems.
Yeah, it seems like it.
But yeah.
Moving on.
And then, what'd you think? I wasn't really surprised by the Buckingham when I thought she was the favorite.
You said
from the
that a
very
while
beginning.
back.
Yeah.
I mean, I agreed with you. I mean,
Yeah.
I think I think they preordained her, basically. So that's all we'll say on that.
Yeah, and I supported her since when she first ran for the state senate.
Yeah. And she's generally a knowledgeable person, and, you know.
Yeah, she has a good voting record in the Senate,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
she'll do a good job.
She'll do a good job. Okay, moving on. We're going to end this. Let's do winners and losers this week. You ready for
gosh.
that? Who's the winner of the week for me? It's one that Reagan will not like. It's Ken Paxton.
Oh.
Yeah, Kenny.
All
Did you
right.
see him at the Tea Party when he came a couple weeks, 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago? Did you see him there?
No, I did not go to
They
that.
gave a good speech, but Jonathan Houlihan gave him a question that he couldn't handle. So props to Jonathan Houlihan.
Now, how about you know what I'd like to see, Bob,
What's that?
Is Houlihan for Attorney General in 2026 or whatever. Yeah, I think he'd be an improvement.
Man,
So,
I'm excited
Jonathan,
about that thought.
if you're listening,
Listen up, Houlihan.
That's your next race there. Run for
That
Attorney
is a
General.
heck of a good
Yeah.
idea there, Reagan.
Love to see it.
Ooh.
Yeah.
He's setting himself up nicely. He's in charge of a very conservative the legal portion of a very conservative group that's being formed right now. And I think that's going to be a very good launch pad for him. But if he did what you suggested, man, that's rocking the boat. And I think he would be a great attorney general for the state of Texas, Jonathan Houlihan.
I agree.
Yeah, I think he could win that. I do. I think he could win that. Man, good job, Reagan.
You heard it here first, folks. You heard it here first.
Loser of the week. I'm going to let you have
Am
the
I
loser.
going to get a winner of the week?
Did you already say? I was going to make Houlihan your winner, but keep going.
Oh, okay. So my winner of the week.
Let's see.
I had to go outside of Texas for this one. My
Oh.
winner of the week is Georgia's Secretary of State, Brad Raffensperger.
Isn't it Rafflesburger?
That's Raffensperger.
Raffensperger.
And of course, this
Pronounce
was
that name.
this was a guy very conservative, but he's the one who was on the infamous phone call where Trump called him and said,
Get 11,000 more, please.
Yeah. Oh, I love your Trump impersonation.
Get
You're gonna-
11,000 more. Come on, man.
You're going to get in trouble for that. But
Yeah,
yeah,
I know.
it's like, Brad, I need 11,000 more votes.
Brad, you
I
gotta
need
do it for the
I need you to
Trumper.
find 11,000 more votes. And
The stupidest. Whatever advisor told Trump that was a good idea, you always send somebody who's a powerful surrogate to do that. You don't let the president of the United States
Yeah.
do that ever. That's ridiculous.
yeah, but Brad would not fine. He would not violate his oath to the Constitution and find 11,000 more votes. And so he wouldn't be Trump's mule. And so
God.
And so Trump tried to take him out, recruited a congressman to run against him. And I honestly thought Brad Raffensperger was toast. I did not think he was
I
going
don't
to
think he's going to win. I think he'd have a prayer, actually.
He won without a runoff. Didn't even go to a runoff.
What
And-
was that percentage? Like in the 60s, right? You got in the 60s?
No, it was in the 50s,
Okay.
but no runoff against a challenger endorsed by Trump, and challenger was also a sitting congressman, so that was pretty impressive, and I
Yeah.
think that's a huge win for the Constitution, actually, and the rule of law.
So why
And-
didn't you give it to Kemp? Because Kemp had a bigger margin.
Because I expected Kemp to win.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, no surprise there. Now, the margin Kemp won by, that nobody saw that coming. That
No,
was
I didn't see him
impressive.
winning by 50. 50?
But
yeah.
I'll say this: I think the future of the Republican Party is more Kemp and Ron DeSantis
yeah.
and less Trump and Madison Cawthorn. That's all. I'll say about
Okay,
that.
that's my loser of the last couple weeks is Madison.
Oh, Madison Cawthorn?
Oh, he got smoked, and he deserved it. But when at the Texas Youth Summit, when he was there, man, that kid was like a rock star. All these girls,
Oh yeah. I was in.
they're screaming for him. So he went from screaming to like crying.
I was in the green room, of course, because I was on one of a couple of the panels.
Yeah.
And I kid you not, they had the hall was barricaded off,
Oh, man.
so only people that were authorized to go back to
Right.
the green room could.
Right.
I kid you not, there were these, Turning Point USA girls that were like trying to get over the barrier.
That's my husband.
I was talking to they were like coming to me because I was like standing at the
Yeah, because
barrier
you're
at
like
one
his
point.
friend.
And I was thinking they were going to try to get there to come see Candace Owens or Kaylee McEnany, neither of whom I like, but I thought were more high profile, right? And no, they were like, I want to get a selfie with Madison. And I'm like, who?
Man.
Like
that kid?
But I kind of wonder when the video came out of him like in a dress on a cruise or something.
Oh, man.
And then the other video of him with his cousin, which I won't get into.
Don't get into that.
I kind of wondered, I'm like, I wonder what the Turning Point USA girls
I think Madison might have had a turning point at some point.
But anyways, talk about somebody who literally did everything wrong. I mean, it's almost like he was trying to lose
Trump
that
endorsed him,
election.
didn't he?
Trump endorsed him and even doubled down with the statement right before election
After
day.
that stuff?
After that stuff, yes.
No.
To give him a second chance.
Dude.
But, I mean, a lot of things hurt him. They were going to redistrict, and so he was, like, going to run in another district. And then he changed his mind. He's like, oh, wait, I'm going to run in my old district. And, he really just kind of poked leadership, Kevin McCarthy, in the eye as
Kevin
many
ain't
times.
going to stand for that. I know it.
And that's ultimately, and so I think Madison could have weathered a lot of these scandals, but it was just a perfect storm. And his challenger was a state senator.
Immaturity
lost
lost it.
guy.
Immaturity loses races in the United States all the time, Reagan.
Yeah.
Immaturity.
And so that's why, like, I guess a lot of people wonder, well, how did Madison lose and Marjorie Taylor Greene won? It's because Marjorie Taylor Greene, for all her craziness, she does play the game. I mean,
she tries.
I think to some extent she's
better.
She says crazy stuff, but she's an adept political player, and this is what GOP leadership tolerates her because she brings in a lot of money. Okay,
that's why she stays.
Madison Cawthorn didn't.
No, not so much.
He was just a thorn in the side, and then when he accuses them of being in these cocaine orgies, that was the last straw.
Oh,
and so,
man.
But
I don't know if that was
Bob,
a setup or what.
Did you see his statement after he lost about now is the time for the rise of dark MAGA? Did you see that?
Oh, I did. That was so stupid. I mean, that's the dumbest thing. Dark MAGA. I'm like, what is that?
It's like MAGA's not enough.
MAGA's not dark enough.
It's time for the rise of dark MAGA.
Dark MAGA. It sounds like Star Wars reference.
That should be like the name of Dinesh D'Souza's next documentary, The Rise of Dark MAGA.
So I guess you're not going to Incredible Pizza tonight to see that premiere. I guess.
No, I got banned from Incredible Pizza about 4 years ago.
Reagan's banned from. What did you do so bad, Reagan? He's banned from a kid's pizza parlor.
On that note, I think it's time to end. Let's end the show, Bob.
Let's end the show because that is funny. Reagan's banned from a kid's pizza parlor. That's the end of the show. I think we tap out on that. This show was fantastic. It was weird, wild, woolly, and funny. Oh, man. Reagan, good job on getting banned from Incredible Pizza. With that, we want to thank our producer, Dr. Billy Graff, the always esteemed Dr. Billy. Bill Brenza, who's not around. I wonder where Bill is. Probably driving his, self-driving Tesla. He's still got one of those, even though stock's dropping.
He's probably watching some SpaceX rocket launch.
Right, he's probably there. Yeah. But anyway, we want to thank our viewers, all three of them. And we want to thank you for tuning in. God bless you. See you next week.